The bell above the door chimed like mockery as Lily Harper stepped into Argent and Company. Marble floors, glass cases, the faint scent of roses and arrogance. "May I help you?" The saleswoman's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Yes. I'd like a pendant. Something simple, silver." A pause, the woman's gaze flicked over Lily's coat, her worn shoes. "Of course," she said sweetly. "This way, miss." She led Lily to a tray at the back, the kind of display meant for clearance items and pity. "Something affordable," the woman added. Two other clerks giggled behind the counter. Lily's cheeks burned. "I didn't ask for cheap," she said quietly. "No, of course not," the woman replied, voice dripping sugar. "But we wouldn't want you to be uncomfortable with the prices." Lily turned before they could see her tears. The laughter followed her like perfume. Outside, the rain hit her face, sharp, cold, cleansing. She was almost at the corner when the sound of a Maserati cut through the street noise. Nico Moretti stepped out, dark coat, dark eyes, every inch of him danger wrapped in elegance. "Lily." His voice was soft, but it carried weight. "What happened?" "Nothing," she said quickly. "Please, don't." He was already walking inside. The saleswomen straightened like soldiers under inspection. "Mr. Moretti," the manager stammered, "we didn't realize." Nico placed a leather folder on the counter, his expression carved from ice. "These are ownership papers," he said evenly. "Argent and Company belongs to me." "Which means every word you just said to my wife, you said to me." The main clerk's lips trembled. "Sir, we only—" "You laughed," he interrupted, voice dropping lower. "That was your mistake." He turned slightly toward Lily standing in the doorway. "Choose what you wanted." "Anything." "I don't want anything," she said, her voice shaking. "I just wanted respect." He looked at her then, eyes softening for a fraction of a second before hardening again. "They'll never laugh at you again." "Nico, stop. They're fired." "You can't fix humiliation with power," she snapped, her voice breaking. "I fix everything with power," he said simply. "It's the only thing people understand." Silence filled the store, heavy as the rain outside. Lily turned away. "Then maybe I don't want to live in your kind of world." The storm followed them home. Rain smeared the windows of their penthouse like watercolor tears, the city below a blur of silver and shadow. Lily stood in the doorway of the living room, her coat still damp. Nico poured himself a drink, whiskey, no ice. His movements were calm, deliberate, the kind of calm that always came before something broke. "You didn't have to do that," she said finally. He didn't look up. "Do what?" "Humiliate them. Fire everyone. You turned a stupid insult into a spectacle." He swirled the glass in his hand, amber liquid catching the city lights. "They humiliated you. I corrected it. You terrified them." He met her eyes, calm as ever. "Good." She stepped closer, voice trembling. "Is that what you think love is? Scaring people until they respect me?" "No," he set the glass down. "I think love means making sure no one ever dares hurt you again." Lily's heart ached at the quiet certainty in his tone. He meant it. That was the problem. "You can't protect me by destroying everyone who looks at me wrong." "I can," he said simply. "And I will." She exhaled, frustration boiling over. "You don't get it, Nico. I don't need power. I need peace." He smiled faintly, the kind of smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Peace is an illusion." You only have it when your enemies are dead or afraid. Nico, her voice broke. I can't live like this. Not with blood buying every piece of safety. He walked toward her, slow, deliberate. You knew who I was when you married me. I thought I did. She held her ground. But the man I loved wanted out. You promised me that. His jaw tightened. And I still do. Then prove it, she whispered. Walk away. Leave it all, the guns, the deals, the fear. He stared at her for a long moment, something flickering behind his dark eyes, regret, maybe, or warning. You don't walk out of my world clean, he said finally. Not me. Not anyone. Then it's already too late for us. He reached out, brushing a strand of wet hair from her face. The touch was gentle, almost tender. I built everything to keep you safe, he murmured. And in doing that, she said, tears rising again, you've built a cage instead. Silence. The kind that hurts to breathe in. Nico turned away, his reflection fractured in the rain-streaked window. If I walk away, people die. If I stay, I lose you. Lily's voice was barely a whisper. Then maybe the world you rule needs to burn. For the first time, his mask cracked. A flash of something raw crossed his face, fear, or maybe admiration. You'd burn it with me inside, he said quietly. She didn't answer. And that silence, that cold, heavy silence, was the sound of the first fracture in their marriage. Hey, wait a second. If what I'm saying right now hits you, even a little. If you've ever felt lost, invisible. Like the world just kept spinning without you. I get it. You're not alone. And if there's even a bit of strength left in you, just stay for a moment. Tap the like button, leave a few words, hit subscribe. For you, it's just a second. But for me, it's a sign. A sign that someone out there is real. Listening, feeling this too. Thank you for being here. Really. From the heart. All right, let's keep going. The hum of the sewing machine was the first peace Lily had known in months. No orders barked over the phone, no gunmetal whispers behind closed doors, just the sound of creation. Thread, fabric, rhythm. Life. Her studio smelled of chalk dust and coffee. A crooked sign above the door read Harper & Company, tailoring with heart. Every time she looked at it, she felt a small, stubborn kind of pride. Mia was crouched by the mannequin, pinning a hem. You sure he's okay with this? Nico? Lily forced a smile. He's staying out of things. Mia raised an eyebrow. That doesn't sound like him. He's trying, Lily said quietly. Truth was, she hadn't seen him for 4 days. He'd said something vague about cleaning up old debts. She didn't ask what kind. She'd learned better. The bell over the door chimed. A delivery boy entered, soaked from the rain, carrying a vase of white lilies and a note in Nico's precise handwriting. For your new beginning. But remember, some worlds don't forget your name. Mia read it over her shoulder and muttered, romantic and terrifying. Classic. Lily hid the note beneath a pattern sketch. He means well. Or he means control, Mia said. Outside, a black SUV idled across the street. The engine purred too long, the driver's face lost in shadow. Lily tried to ignore it. She'd promised herself this life would be clean. That evening, just as the light faded, the door opened again. Nico. No bodyguards, no entourage, just rain on his coat and exhaustion in his eyes. You look different, he said softly. Peace looks good on me, she replied, not pausing her stitching. He smiled faintly. And on me? You don't have peace, Nico. You have silence, that's not the same thing. He stepped closer. I'm doing what I can. You said you'd walk away, she reminded him. From the guns, the deals, all of it. I'm trying, he said again, sharper now. But people don't let men like me disappear. They wait for a moment of weakness, then they bury you. Lily met his gaze. Then maybe weakness is what makes you human. For a heartbeat, something flickered in his eyes, regret, or maybe fear. The sound of shattering glass cut through their silence. They turned. The front window dripped with streaks of red paint, bleeding down the glass. Words scrawled in angry letters. Dirty money makes dirty hands. Mia gasped from the back room. Lily, oh my God. Nico's expression turned to ice. Salazar, he said under his breath. Who? Damien Salazar. He thinks sending messages keeps him alive. Lily's voice trembled. And now my studio's part of your message. He turned toward her. I'll make him regret it. No, she snapped. That's what he wants, blood for paint. I won't let you drag me back there. You don't understand what kind of man he is, Nico warned. And you don't understand what kind of woman I've become, she said. I'm not afraid anymore. They stood in silence, inches apart, rain hissing outside, red paint dripping between them like spilled war. Finally, Nico said quietly, you built something good here. Let me protect it. She shook her head. If it needs your kind of protection, then it was never safe to begin with. He didn't answer. Just looked at her one last time, pride, pain, and love tangled into one impossible expression, then walked out. The door closed with a soft click. Lily stood alone, watching the red paint crawl down the window. Outside, the black SUV was still there. The man inside lit a cigarette, its brief flame reflecting in the glass like a warning. The fire began just before dawn. Lily woke to sirens and the faint scent of smoke, sharp, metallic, wrong. She ran to the window, and the sky above 8th Avenue glowed orange. Her heart stopped. Harper and Company was burning. She didn't remember how she got there. One moment she was barefoot on cold pavement, the next, pushing through a growing crowd. That's my shop, she shouted. A firefighter grabbed her arm. Ma'am, please. My machines, the orders, my. He shook his head softly. I'm sorry. It's gone. The roof collapsed in a shower of sparks. Heat pressed against her face, blinding and merciless. She stood frozen, watching her dream turn to ash. When Nico arrived, the sirens dimmed beneath the sound of his car's engine, that familiar low growl. He crossed the police tape like it didn't exist, rain soaking his coat. Who did this? He asked. You already know, she said. His silence was answer enough. Salazar, he murmured finally. He wants to make a point. And you'll make one louder? Lily's voice trembled. You think blood will rebuild my studio? This isn't about revenge, he snapped. It's about control. If I don't answer, I lose everything. You've already lost me. The words hung in the smoky air. He stared at her, jaw tight. You think you can reason with men like him? No, she said quietly. But I can expose him. For the first time, his composure cracked. Expose him? You once told me numbers don't lie. I remember them all, the shipments, the invoices, the fake accounts. Her voice steadied. Salazar hides behind paper. I'll use it to destroy him. Nico exhaled slowly. Lily, you have no idea what you're touching. I'm done being afraid of your world, she said. I'm going to fight it differently. He looked at her, soot on her face, firelight in her eyes, and something inside him shifted. The fury drained, replaced by something closer to awe. That evening, the rain returned, soft but endless. The remains of her studio still smoked as she sat at their dining table, surrounded by open folders. Contracts, shipping logs, tax records, all traces of the empire Nico had built and sworn to leave behind. Mia watched her from across the table. You're serious about this, aren't you? I've lost everything once, Lily said. I'm not losing the truth too. The front door opened. Nico stood there, tired, still damp from the rain. He watched her for a long moment before placing a small flash drive on the table. Everything I have on Salazar. The jewelry fronts, the offshore routes, his gold imports. He keeps the ledgers in a safe under Aurora Lux. Lily froze. Why are you helping me? He gave a faint, humorless smile. Because if you're going to start a war, at least let me teach you how to survive it. She studied him. I don't want war. Then you shouldn't have married me. They stood in silence, two people bound by love and ruin. Finally, she said, if we do this, no guns. No bodies. Just proof. He hesitated, then nodded once. No promises. But I'll try. Try harder. A ghost of a smile crossed his lips. There's that fire again. Later, when he left to make calls, Lily opened her laptop. Numbers scrolled across the screen like veins of gold and blood. Somewhere out there, Damien Salazar believed she was just a grieving wife. He was about to learn how dangerous grief could be. She pressed enter, tracing her first wire transfer trail. Outside, rain whispered against the glass, and for the first time, Lily didn't flinch from the storm, she welcomed it. The night of the truce felt wrong from the start. Rain traced crooked lines down the marble steps of Hotel Murejo, where Nico Moretti and Damien Salazar were about to bury the past. To the world, it was a business dinner, men in tuxedos, crystal glasses, champagne toasts. To Lily, waiting 2 blocks away in a janitor's uniform, it was a hunt. She tied her hair into a tight knot, checked her reflection in a metal door. A stranger stared back. No fear, only focus. Her earpiece crackled. Nico's voice came low. You have 15 minutes before the sweep. After that, they'll check every floor. I'll be out in 10, she whispered. Don't make me come find you. I'd rather die than owe you a rescue. Don't test that theory. Inside the ballroom, the 2 men shook hands. Peace, at last, Salazar said smoothly, his gold watch glinting. Until someone forgets what it costs, Nico replied, his smile sharp as a blade. Their words played like a duet, polite, venomous, rehearsed. Every second Nico spoke bought Lily time. She slipped through the back hallway, pushing a cleaning cart loaded with rags, gloves, and a hidden tablet. The corridors smelled of lemon polish and expensive fear. 2 guards stood by the glass elevator. She bent her head and murmured, "Scusi," as she passed. They didn't even blink. At the top floor, she reached the private office. A fingerprint lock waited like a heartbeat of red light. She peeled an adhesive film from her glove, the print Nico had lifted from one of Salazar's champagne glasses a week earlier, and pressed it to the scanner. A green glow. The door clicked. The office gleamed with sterile opulence, marble, chrome, and a faint scent of cigars. power disguised as taste. She went straight to the mirrored cabinet, the biometric safe. Its hum was faint, mechanical, alive. "Nico," she whispered, "I'm in." 5 minutes, came his reply, tension curling beneath the calm. Her hands trembled as she entered the code, a pattern hidden in the dates of Salazar's transfers. Click. The door opened. Inside, thick ledgers waited, black leather, gold trim. She photographed every page, each line whispering names and numbers that could tear an empire apart. Then came footsteps. Elevator. Too close. "Nico," she hissed. "Get out. Now." She shoved the ledgers back, closed the safe, and turned toward the door, just as it opened. Damien Salazar stepped inside. No guards. No hurry. Just the quiet confidence of a man who thought he owned every breath in the room. "Well," he said softly, "what a surprise. My wife's staff usually doesn't dress this well." She kept her eyes down. "I'm sorry, senor." The manager said this floor. He cut her off, walking closer. "You don't smell like bleach." His fingers caught her chin, tilting her face toward the light. A strand of golden hair slipped free. Recognition hit. "Mrs. Moretti." His smile spread, lazy and cruel. "Your husband sends maids now?" Her pulse roared in her ears. Through the earpiece came Nico's voice, low, commanding. "Smile." She did. A second later, the sprinklers burst. Ice-cold water crashed from the ceiling, alarms screaming through the hotel. In the chaos, she drove the mop handle into Salazar's chest and ran. His shout was drowned by sirens. Left corridor, Nico's voice cut through the noise. "Stairs. Move." She sprinted down the slick hallway, breath ragged, the tablet pressed to her chest. The fire alarm strobes painted everything blood red. At the stairwell, Nico waited, drenched, gun drawn, suit ruined. "You're late," he growled. "Had to tidy up," she shot back. They burst through the service door as guards poured in behind them. Nico fired twice, not to kill, but to scatter. Glass exploded. The night air hit like a slap. A black car screeched up. Nico shoved her inside and climbed in after. The driver sped through the rain-slick streets, headlights carving through chaos. Lily's hands shook, but her voice was steady. "I got it all. Every name. Every account." Nico looked at her, water dripping from his hair. "You realize what happens next?" "Yes," she whispered. "He falls." For a long stretch, there was only the rhythm of tires on wet asphalt. Then Nico exhaled, almost a laugh. "You're not the same woman who cried in a jewelry store." She met his eyes. "That woman's gone." Salazar burned her down. Outside, lightning flashed, sharp, merciless, illuminating her reflection in the glass. She didn't look like someone's wife anymore. She looked like judgment. And for the first time, Nico wasn't sure whether to protect her, or to fear her. The city woke to headlines written in gold and blood. Salazar Empire collapses, international probe exposes smuggling network. Screens flickered across downtown, FBI raids, crates of seized jewelry, Damien Salazar in handcuffs, rain plastering his perfect hair to his skull. Lily watched from the kitchen, the television glow pale against her face. Her tea had gone cold hours ago. She had done it, ended a man untouchable for a decade. But victory felt hollow, echoing through rooms already half empty. Nico appeared in the doorway, his tie loose, expression unreadable. He'd been on the phone since dawn, lawyers, contacts, the remnants of his empire. "You're the storm they never saw coming," he said quietly. "I didn't want to be a storm," she replied. "I just wanted air to breathe." He poured himself coffee, black and shaking slightly. "Peace costs more than war sometimes." She turned. "How much this time?" He didn't answer immediately. "I spoke with the bureau," he said finally. "They get my files, my testimony. In return, immunity." "For you?" she asked. "For both of us." Lily stared at him. "You traded everything." "I traded blood for time," he said. "That's the only honest currency left." Outside, a police siren drifted through the rain. Neither moved. By noon, Nico's penthouse looked like a crime scene of memories, drawers emptied, photos gone, shelves stripped bare. He moved with mechanical precision, dismantling his life piece by piece. Lily packed silently, a few clothes, her sewing kit, the flash drive she couldn't delete. When the last light of day bled through the windows, they sat together on the balcony. "Do you regret it?" she asked. "Every day," he said softly. "But not today." He handed her a sealed envelope stamped with government insignia. "It's done. Tomorrow we testify. After that, new names, new cities. No past." Lily traced the seal with her finger. "And the people we were?" "Dead," he said. "Maybe that's mercy." They watched the city below, towers glowing like embers, streets still wet with yesterday's sins. She whispered, "You used to own this skyline. And now? Now you just look at it like everyone else." He smiled faintly. "Maybe that's what freedom is, looking, not ruling." That night she couldn't sleep. The silence pressed too hard. When she walked into the living room, Nico was there, staring out the window. The city lights carved deep shadows across his face. "I keep thinking about Argent and Company," she said. "The day all this began." "When they laughed at you?" he asked. "When you destroyed them," she corrected. "I thought you were defending me." "But you were defending yourself, your pride, your power." He turned toward her, eyes tired. "And now?" "Now I know you were trying to save me in the only way you knew how. Violence was your language. But I've learned another one." He nodded slowly. "And somehow, you made me fluent in it." Before dawn, black SUVs arrived, not the kind with guards, but agents. Two men in suits greeted them politely, clinically. Nico handed over a briefcase. "Mr. Moretti, you'll be escorted to the hearing." "Mrs. Moretti, your testimony follows." The word testimony felt like both salvation and execution. They rode in silence through the empty streets. Lily watched the skyline blur behind them, the city fading into pale fog. "Do you ever think it was worth it?" she asked. "For you," he said. "Always." "For us?" He looked away. "Ask me when we're free." Hours later, they stood before a safe house, gray concrete, no windows, no name. Nico let out a slow breath. "So this is freedom?" Lily shook her head. "No. This is what's left after freedom costs too much." He looked at her then, not as a boss, not as a man running from his crimes, but as someone finally stripped bare. "If we start over," he said, "no lies. No empires. Just us." She met his eyes. "Then let's see who we are without the armor." They walked inside, the door closing behind them with a sound that felt like an ending. Outside, dawn broke over a city that had already forgotten their names. But somewhere, in a government archive, a file remained sealed: Lily Moretti, the witness who destroyed a king and his kingdom. And in the quiet that followed ruin, the world finally learned. You can burn a dynasty, but not the woman who lit the match. Spring returned softly, as if the city was afraid to remember. 6 months had passed since the hearings. Their names had vanished from headlines, replaced by fresher scandals. Somewhere in a locked archive, a file labeled Moretti gathered dust. On a quiet Brooklyn street, a new sign hung above a modest storefront. Harper Atelier, handmade with grace. The air inside smelled of fabric and coffee, sunlight spilling across unfinished dresses. No guards, no whispers, just the hum of the sewing machine and the steady rhythm of normal life. Lily adjusted a gown on a mannequin, smoothing its silk. Every stitch felt like a heartbeat. The doorbell chimed. A tall man entered, rein on his shoulders, a bouquet of white lilies in his hand. For a moment she couldn't move. Then Nico smiled, faint, uncertain. "No one calls me Dawn anymore," he said quietly. She met his eyes. "Do you miss it?" "Sometimes," he admitted. "But not tonight." He looked around the studio, at her sketches, her work table. "You did it. You built something clean." "It's small," she said. "But it's mine." He nodded. "And I think that's the first thing we've ever truly owned." They stood close, the air between them fragile but warm. "You still sew for others," he murmured. "Never for yourself." "Maybe I'm still learning who that self is." He smiled, a little sad. "Then you're ahead of me." Before she could answer, he handed her an envelope, heavy paper, embossed logo. "Argent and Company," he said. They reopened. "Under new management. They're hosting a gala. They want you there, to showcase your designs." Lily laughed softly. "The same place where I cried over a pendant?" He met her gaze. "Maybe it's time they see what became of you." That evening, under chandeliers and polished glass, Lily stood once again inside Argent and Company. When asked to speak, she stepped to the microphone. Her voice was calm, unshakable. "Dignity can't be bought," she said. "But when you earn it, it never fades." Applause followed, but she was already looking toward the door, where Nico stood in the crowd, watching with quiet pride. Outside, the city lights shimmered on wet pavement. Lily smiled faintly, a woman reborn. And somewhere down the street, a black car idled, window cracked, cigarette glowing like a single red eye. The past hadn't died. It was just waiting. Fade to black.